Well, who wants to come swimming, have our swimming noodle? So what am I going to do with this today? Well, I'm wearing my autumn top, okay? So what we're thinking of doing is a door decoration. Something for maybe over the archway of the top of your door. But in saying that, like, these are quite manoeuvrable, you know what I mean? You can manoeuvre them around a little bit. So again, you could do it as a swag coming down one side of your door. It's very flexible and very movable, but the main thing, it's nice and light. So we bought ours on Amazon. I think it was €15 for two of them. You had to purchase two at the same time. So I do have another one if anyone wants to go swimming with me. So materials, what am I going to use? I have this fabulous autumn leaf, okay? And we got this in from O'Neill's Flowers. So o'neillsflowers.ie. You'll find them, they're up in Carlingford. It's wholesalers, but they do sell to the public. You can purchase all this material online, and they don't sell the the swimming noodles. But you can purchase all this material online, or you can call up to them. But this was only €5 for a whole stem, and I think there was about 14 leaves on it. So what I'm doing is cutting up the individual leaves on the stems. And I'm going to use them in and out through a bunch of eucalyptus that I have. Now I'm probably going to use about 2 bunches of eucalyptus, you know what I mean, to give you an idea. So what I need, anybody watching there, first of all, let us know, where are you watching in from? What's the weather like? Let's get the ball rolling, okay? If you know somebody who likes flowers, how about tagging them? Do you know, that way, and maybe they might come along and join in as well. What else will get you to do? If you're in a flower club, why don't you share this video into your flower club? And if you're not prepared to maybe copy this straight away, if you share this video to your own page, you'll be able to look back later, you know, that way, rewind it, fast forward it, or watch it again in a couple of days' time. So here I have, that last one was a bit thick, so I'm going to leave that one on there. So there I have the autumn leaf cut up. So that was a fiver's worth, and I have a second stem cut up already. So has everybody tagged o'neillsflowers.ie in the comments there for me? The next thing then is the eucalyptus. So I bought the eucalyptus in from Wicklow Foliage Farm, but you can also get it from Irish Green Guys. So again, if somebody can tag Wicklow Foliage Farm, and I keep doing that as the @ sign, and somebody tag Irish Green Guys. We get a lot of overseas UK followers here, and Irish Green Guys have a depot in the UK, so it means you can buy your bunches from them. So you need about 2 good bunches, but depends on how chunky you want to make it. So what I'm going to do now is cut the eucalyptus up into about 18-20 centimeters approximately. Obviously some of it is going to be a little bit shorter and some of it is going to be a little bit longer. I have a lot of it prepared already. That's why my hands are filthy, because I've been wiring it up using the real wire. Now you could do this without wiring up the little bunches, but it's handy to have a helper, and unfortunately I don't have a helper because my helper is behind the camera. Now if anybody's watching and you have any questions at all in relation to what I'm doing, post your questions in the comments and Deirdre will call them out, and hopefully I'll be able to answer. And I'm depending on you then to put all the links in the comments when somebody asks a question. So what you're then going to do is take up about 6 bunches. So there I have 3, 4, 5, 6 little sprigs of the eucalyptus together. You see, into a little bunch, and then using a roll of real wire. So you'll need yourself a roll of real wire. We're just going to wrap it around the ends 5 or 6 times just to secure them in place. And again, there's first stem, a second stem, a third stem. Okay, I'll cut 3 more off this one. There we go. 4, 5, 6. Take off the leaf at the bottom. If there's a leaf at the bottom, it's easier to wire it. So there is our 6 little bunches. Now if you had a helper, they could just hand you them and there'd be no need to actually put the real wire around the end of it, you see, to secure it. Just for the video, it's much easier for us if we do it that way. Plus I haven't got the space on the table to have all the bunches, you know, the way laid out. I have a box here beside me. Okay, so I've all my greenery wired up, hence why the flowers, my hands are so dirty. I have my spool noodle, and then I have my leaves all cut up. So I have 2 stems of them, €10 roughly from O'Neill's Flowers. There's no VAT, the VAT is already included. I cut up a few stems of the birch twig, and I'm going to add a little bit of that through it as I go along as well. And the bunches of birch twig can also be bought from Wicklow Foliage Farm or Irish Green Guys. So at this stage there should be at least 3 tags in the comments. O'Neill's Flowers, so the @ O'Neill's Flowers, that will bring you to their Facebook or their Instagram page. The @ Wicklow Foliage Farm, and that will also bring you to their Facebook or their Instagram page. And Irish Green Guys, @ Irish Green Guys, no spaces, and also you'll find them on Instagram or obviously on Facebook as well. So big welcome, and hope you're going to enjoy this course. Now, it is a bit it's a bit like being in the pool, and this is kind of going all over the place. When you're working on it, you might kind of find it's a bit awkward to maneuver. And at home, maybe you have a long dining room table, and it might be a little bit easier for you. So the first thing you're going to do is get a bunch of greenery, rest it on the noodle, but make sure it overlaps the noodle. And what would be nice at this stage is a little bit of twig, you see, at the same time. And again, when you're making your bunches, you can cut your greenery a lot longer as well. But when you're only starting off, maybe keep them shorter. It'll be easier for you to maneuver them. So I have that little bit of twig. I'm going to rest on my bunch of eucalyptus, and I can rest on a little leaf, you see, at the same time, just to add it in. And I'm going to rest that down onto the noodle. I'm now going to attach the wire, the reel wire, onto the noodle by holding it with my thumb and wrapping it around the same spot, but pulling it really tight at least 3 or 4 times, okay? So at least 3 or 4 times, and pull it really, really tight. That is important. Now remember, you're looking at it sideways, and I am going to put foliage on both sides, but just if I turn it around that way there, that's what it's looking like so far, and hopefully that's on the camera and everybody can see that spot there. So now I'm going to place it back down on the table, and to the right and the left, or that side and that side, I'm now going to add in another bunch of eucalyptus on either side, and still where the reel wire is, I'm now going to attach them on as well. So again, we'll go around there 3 times, pulling it nice and tight. I think that was 4 times, but sure, it doesn't matter. And now you can see like how chunky it is. As you can see, it's awkward for me to hold up each time because the length of the noodle. Now we're going to work down a little bit, and I'm now going to get our 4th bunch, and I'm going to add that into the centre, and I'm going to add in just a different colour leaf, you know, that way. And we'll just make that leaf maybe look a little bit over to the right. And again, I'll just bring my wire around it just to hold it. So I'm adding in our leaf just a little bit over to the side, and again, I'm getting the reel wire and wrap that around 2 or 3 times. And then to the right and the left hand side of that, I'm going to add in a little bit of eucalyptus over here, a little bit of eucalyptus over here, probably a little bit of twig, you know, that way ever so often. Sometimes the twig will be on the outside, sometimes it'll be in the middle, sometimes it'll be in the centre. I'm not going to think about it too much. And again, I'm going to secure all that then with our reel wire. Just make sure we get the wire around all them bunches. And again, around 3 or 4 times, and pull it nice and tight. Now what I want to do is I want to bring it in closer so that you can see this in more detail. So come with me in a little bit closer. So we're back again, you're up close, and I'm adding in my middle bunch. Now it's important that you overlap them, like don't stir it down there or you're going to see the noodle, okay? So overlap it, and again get your wire and go around that one once or twice just to hold it in place. There we go. And then get a bunch of eucalyptus on either side, and again same idea, kind of keep them in close just to hold. If you want to add in a little leaf at the same time, you can add it in. And if you want to add in a little bit of twig at the same time, you can add it in. And that's what I was saying, sometimes I'm adding the twigs, you know, the way the outside to the inside or the middle. Just pull that off. And then I'm going to bring the reel wire around everything. So it's going around the faux leaf, it's going around the birch, and it's going around the 2 extra eucalyptus that I added in. And this is what it's looking like so far. Now, if you find it's awkward, sometimes if you just wrap the reel wire down the noodle a little bit more, it gives you room to kind of like add in your extra bunch. So here's our bunch in the middle, and I just feel it could do with a little bit of colour, you see, added in, and maybe a little bit of twig added in at the same time. Just push that over there. And here we have our reel wire, and we'll go around that one 2 or 3 times to secure it in place. There we go. I was giving out in the earlier video, I was at the end of a reel wire, and now I'm at the beginning of one, and it's just, again, it's a bit loose. I'm going to add in a bunch of eucalyptus on that side, a bunch of eucalyptus in on this side, and again I'm going to add the reel wire wrapped around it. And if you feel you want to add in a little bit of twig as you go along, absolutely. So they're the bunches of birch twigs, which are very reasonably priced off Stuart Williams, but again, you can get them in your local flower shop. So I'm just going to hold up our noodle there just to kind of give you the effect. So I'm just going to hold it up so you can see. If you do hold it up yourself, don't let go of the reel wire or it'll all start unraveling on you, okay? So back down on the table, reel wire cut around, pull the reel wire kind of down here a little bit, and now get your next bunch and add it into the center. Remember to overlap as you go along. Add in one of the colored leaves if you want to, add in a little bit of twig if you want to. And after a while you might even be able to maneuver a bunch on the right and a bunch on the left, you see, all at the same time. And then the reel wire can go around absolutely everything at the same time. And again, you can see this pool noodle kind of like being scrunched in, you know, as if I had a girdle on it here, pulling that in there nice and tight. There we go. And ground that 3-4 times. You're always better off to be sure. And then if you need to, like, come down the noodle a little bit, and you're ready for your next sponge. So we're adding our one into the middle, a little bit of leaf if you want, could be to the side, a little bit of twig if you want it, a little bit of eucalyptus to the, you might call that the top, I call it the right, a little bit of eucalyptus on the other side, and again, if you felt that you wanted to add another little bit of twig in, there we go, we can add a little bit of twig in. The idea is to try and get as much in as you possibly can, and then wrap the reel wire around it all together in the one go. But again, I can't emphasize, you must pull that reel tight, okay? And keep the tension on it. So go around at least 3 or 4 times, and this is why you'll find your hands will get so dirty. Now you can see I have a good bit of it done at this stage, but I have to get all the way to the end of the noodle. And I'm going to be repeating that process over and over again, and I'll change slightly when I get to the other end. So if you like, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the video on fast forward. So I'm going to still keep working away. You can still keep posting any questions in the comments, you know that way. And when I get near the end, I'm going to stop, and then I can answer any questions that you have. You're all happy with that? Well, was that fast enough for you? So we're back into normal time, and you can see there I'm getting, you know what I mean, quite close to the end there. Again, I'm still winding around and pulling it really tight. Now this is where I kind of have to change, okay? I need to change my direction. So this is what I have made so far, okay? And in total, just in case anybody's wondering, it's nearly 3 bunches of eucalyptus being used on that pool noodle, and the 2 stems of autumn leaf. Now I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm now going to work from the other end. So we place this over here. Still have the reel wire attached, okay? Now I'm now going to be winding into my chest, which is the opposite way to the way I normally work, but it'll be grand, it'll be fine. So getting a little bit of our birch twig. And I'm going to have that pointing out, so we get our directions, get our curves. Little bit of eucalyptus, look for kind of a slightly longer one, there we go. And this is getting what we call the returns, you know that way. Now there is a lot more detail I could show you with this, which we do on the bridal class, but I'm trying to keep this simple that somebody will be able to copy at home themselves. So again, I'm adding one in on the right or the left, a little bit of our autumn colour leaf, you know that way. And again, we'll get a reel wire and we'll attach that around that, pulling that nice and tight. There we go. And then we get another little bunch, add it in, another little bit of twig. There we go. A little bit of our autumn leaf. Then we'll just slide a little bunch in underneath there. And we'll slide a little bunch underneath on this side. A little bit awkward it is. Probably could do a second bunch on this side here. There we go. Sneak in underneath there, and then just get my wire and we just bring it around there, holding it all in place. And then I just need to get a bit of greenery, just see, to stick out on both sides. So this is where I'm going to place the greenery, can you see, in that way, and then place the greenery on the table, same way. Again, a little bit of our coloured leaf, you know, that way, and maybe a little bit of twigs. We'll add in a few little bits of twigs there, all at the same time. Let's put a little bit of eucalyptus in on top of that, just cut the stem off at the end. A little bit hiding, do you see the way? So again, holding everything kind of together, getting our reel wire, bringing it in underneath. Oh, I always think I have big hands. There we go, slide that in underneath there. Now we need a little bit of what we call, do you remember the wiggling and the wangling? So that we don't flatten everything down. Right, there we go. Come round, grab it, little bit of wiggling and wangling. Lift up some of them little branches with my fingers, wiggle them in around there. We'll just add in that leaf there, just to cover that little bit of mechanic. There we go, another little bit of wiggling and wangling, and I think we're nearly there. Yeah, does it look there? Yeah, 2 leaves here, but just a matter of manoeuvring the angle of the leaf around and cut the little stem off in a second. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it on this upside, you know, that way. So turn it upside down, get over there yourself, that's it. Back around to the back, make sure everything is well cut in, and then using my scissors I'm going to cut off the spare piece of wire, and I'm now just going to thread this through some of the other little bits of wire where it has been wrapped around. Okay, there we go, catch it through there, catch it through over here, a little bit kind of, it's like stitching, you know, that way. Catch it through, pull it nice and tight, that's it, pull them together nice and tight, get through another one. That's the great thing about the noodle, do you know, that way you can nearly stitch through it a bit. Come on, come through the other side, there we go. So I'm kind of stitching it into the noodle, pulling it nice and tight, wrapping the wire now around itself, so basically I'm securing it that it won't unravel. Now we're flipping it back over again. You push everything into the magic bin. Flip it back over again. There we go. A little bit of manoeuvring. I just want to cut off the artificial stem on this flower here. There we go. And remember, you can always get your glue gun and you can always just glue in a eucalyptus leaf to kind of cover, you know, the way the little bit of stem or wire that's actually shown there. So there's a little bit of wire, but no matter what you do, on return, that's what you're going to have. And I haven't got the glue gun heated up, but I could just literally glue on them 2 leaves and you won't even notice it. So then I'll hold it up, and there is our archway on our noodle. So just turn around from the back there just so that you can see it.
Just bring it down a little bit, yeah. You just can't, yeah, there you go, yeah.
Nice and flexible, and you know, over your whole door, if you have that archway, that's where you can do it. Or again, you can, like, you know, straighten it up if you want. It's quite flexible and movable. And again, you could even use it as a garland down the centre of the table if you wanted. So that was a little bit of hard work, wasn't it? And again, it does take a little bit of time. So again, anyone that's just wondering about the mechanics and the materials, so I used one of the pool noodles. You can always rewind this video again to make sure that you don't lose it. Make sure that you share it to your own page, otherwise you won't be able to find it, okay? So share it to your own page. You'll need your pool noodle. You'll need 3 bunches of eucalyptus from Wicklow Foliage Farm. You'll need 2 branches of the autumn leaf, and that was bought from O'Neill's Flowers in Carlingford. €5 a stem, so there's €10 worth of it. I used a little bit of birch twig, and that could be twig from your own garden, or again, you'll get that from Wicklow Foliage Farm, and you will use nearly a roll of reel wire. So listen, love to see all your photographs when you all make your noodle. And you know, sometimes over a church arch doorway, you know what I mean, there's like an indent, and the great thing about the noodle is because it's flexible, you can actually force it in there, you know, that'll hold in place. But being honest, there's absolutely no weight in this at all. Like, it's really, really light. So again, you could secure it with a couple of cable ties, your hand tied string, or even your flowers ribbon. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. The very best of luck, and I'll see you all very soon again.